Hey guys, so today I want to demo for you a method of key copying that I've grown quite fond of. This is not a new method by any means. You can buy ready-made kits to do exactly the same thing. But this is just something that I've slightly adapted myself, and different pieces come from different directions. But I find it very useful, and I don't really see a nice comprehensive demo of it, so I thought to do that today. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be casting a key using a two-part RTV silicone putty. I think mainly their applications are like for dental putties, for taking impressions of teeth and such things. We're going to be mixing that and using a casting box, which I have 3 examples of here, and I'll show you later. And then we're going to be casting a key using a low melt point metal. So this is metals like Woods metal, Fields metal, and I believe Rose metal. They all have a melt point of about 70 degrees C, which I think is about 160 degrees Fahrenheit. So very low, very easy to handle. There are some different properties to Woods metal and Fields metal. Woods metals, for example, is a bit more supple because it has a lead content, but that has the disadvantage of if you're using it in a confined space, you have a little bit of lead fume, and you should be careful about handling and blah blah blah. Fields metal doesn't have any lead content, so it doesn't have that disadvantage, but Fields metal is more expensive. I haven't used Rose's metal, so I can't speak about that. So we're going to be using that method in order to cast a key, and then I'm going to show you some different variations of it, including using for restricted profile keys, dimple profile keys, and disc-detainer profile keys. Then I'll also go through some pros and cons of the method once you've seen an example of it. So let's get to that, I think. So just to take a look through some of the tools we're going to be using here. We're going to be using a two-part RTV silicone putty. We're going to be using a casting metal. We have a casting ladle here. I've also had this little cradle that I like to use because it stops the hot base of the ladle touching anything and burning it. We have a burner here to melt the metal, of course. We have different types of casting boxes, which I'll show you in a second. We have some talc. You can also use mold release spray, cooking spray, to separate the mold. We have a little bit of copper wire here, nice and flexible, that I'll show you the application of that. We have this little guy, which is well, it's a vibrator, but I find it very useful for removing bubbles from the casting metal. Then we have a couple of files and bits and pieces, and so the casting boxes, for example, I have this really nice one from Storm Lockpicks. Huge thanks to Scott for this. It was the last one that he made, in fact, and I think he might have given it from his own personal stash. It's a great casting box because it is so extremely versatile. It's very big, which is fine if you're casting, say, a large key such as this, but if you're casting a small key such as this, you're using a lot of silicone putty. So what I did was I adapted a little bit by making some cutouts for it. so these fit in, and so they. So if I put like this one in, I put this one in like that, then I'm using a lot less putty to cast a regular sort of like, you know, pin tumbler bladed key. That's a very nice handy box. So huge thanks to Scott for sorting that out. I'm gonna be using that now. Then I have another one from Scott at Storm Lockpicks, which is this one. I think Locksmith Army designed this with Scott. I know they don't sell it anymore, and last time I talked to Scott, they were going to be working on a different design. Whether or not it would have a hinge in it or not, I don't know. It was talked about. And I have this little guy here, which is a 3D printed casting box. This has a different application, which I won't go into today, and we'll talk about a different on a different video. So yeah, so like that. So I'm just gonna clear the deck here and get organized, and we're going to go through the method of casting the key. The key we're going to be casting in this demo is for an Abus Titanium 8550. Nice quality lock. A paracentric keyway, not too complex of a paracentric keyway, but that wouldn't be any issue with this method anyway. This is a 6-pin cylinder with a nice varied bitting. So we're going to be copying that key here. So what we're going to do now is going to take the putty, and what we have here is two different types, 2-part putty. You want equal quantities of each. Or roughly equal quantities of each. And you can measure that quantity by just filling that space there. This is non-toxic to handle. You don't need to use gloves. You don't need any other health and safety la-la. You can wear safety glasses if you want, but I mean, yeah. What do you use safety glasses for? Anyway, so a little bit of that. So this, in fact, now you've got the measurement right, you can take it out. And you want roughly the same quality of the blue. So it's pretty much the night quality. So at the moment you're free to handle it because there's no chemical reaction in it. You don't have any restriction of time. Well, probably a few hours. But once we mix it, we're going to mix it so the white and the blue are well mixed together until you have no stripes or white stripes visible in the putty. So once this is mixed, you've got about 4 minutes to utilize it before it starts to set. So we're going to just put half back in here. and the other half in here. Very important step now is that, of course, you want this to separate when it's ready. So we're going to put a little bit of talc on here. You can use mold release spray for cooking. So you just want to spread that over the top like that. Now you want to put your key into the mold. Like so, just halfway. Don't move it from this point on. Now this is very important because what this is going to do is it's going to allow any gases to be released when you actually pour the hot metal in. So you'll see that once the mold is ready. And we close the box, press, you can see it just coming up like that. Put some pressure on it. And then we have a 4-minute wait or thereabouts. You can take a little bit of this putty away, and then just when it sets, I mean at the moment it's very, I mean you can see what you can do with it, but when it's ready it's like a hard rubber feel, and it won't change shape when you manipulate it. So just take a little bit of that there, and we'll come back in 4 minutes, and we'll do some casting. So that's set nicely now. It's like a rubber ball. So we're now going to take the key out of the mold. Like so. So here you can see there you go. So you can easily separate these two now. Like so. Take out the chimney. Just check actually that the chimney is clear. At the bottom, and reassemble the mold. Usually that stays in place, but what the hell. So now the next stage would be to cast the metal itself. So let's just get rid of the mold materials. and such. So as I say, this this metal has a melt point of around 70, so it's quite easy. It's very easy to handle. It's there's no issues with it at all. Okay, like that. Put it somewhere out of the way, and just get it nice and liquid. Doesn't take much at all. Here's mine. So this is really just to prevent any bubbles forming. As you can see, it's gone into a solid state very quickly. It's bright pink, but I covered it in Archie tape. So it's, I think it's better black, you know. I don't want anybody to sort of like misinterpret such an object in my kit. So already we have a solid metal key in there, and now open the mold. You have a key. A good sign is that the chimney has actually got some metal in, so the gases have had the opportunity to escape. So that is extremely useful to see. And now we can just extract the cast key. And just want to give it a little examination, just to, it's very soft, the metal is soft, so it's much easier just to tidy, but that looks pretty good. I don't think that needs any work on it at all. And so we can see here the regular key. Works perfectly. And then we're going to, it's possible we need to trim it up a little bit, but it's possible not. Voila. So that is a perfectly good key copy. It's a very serviceable copy, that's for sure. So let's just clear the decks and discuss some other options for this. because it's got some pros and cons, of course. Now, cons are that it's a softer metal than steel or nickel, silver, and such things. So, or brass even. So it's nowhere near as serviceable as a regular key. But as a copy, a temporary copy, or a copy that you need to create in the field, and you don't have blanks, you don't have a machine, you need a quicker method than impressioning, then that's really, that'll do the trick. It's non-toxic. The kit is portable. I'll show you my kit assembled in a moment. Then another huge advantage to it is that I'll show you now. So there's the ABUS 6-pin. There is an ABUS X Plus series, an ABUS Granite series. So we can see here that this is a restricted blank. You can't get a key cut without a card for this guy, so works perfectly. And then we can insert the cast copy, turn, and then voila. So like that. Again, locked, unlocked, locked, insert, full turn, and unlocked. So even for restricted blanks, you're not going to have a blank in the field for this. You're not going to have the capacity to cut it. But if you need a spare key cut, then that's easily done. Things like this with a much more paracentric keyway. This is a Bergwachter Gamma 700. Again, you have a nice paracentric keyway, 6-pin cylinder. Works as normal. And here's a cast key I did earlier. Insert, turn, unlocked. So then we can have a look at dimple locks, for example. This is a Vachette VIP. Again, a very restricted profile, very nice quality lock with side pins, dimple pins on the blade of the key, both sides. So this can be used equally with dimple locks. So again, we have, where's my key? So again, we have this very nice paracentric keyway. Works perfectly. Then we use the cast copy that I did earlier, such as this. Insert, and fully working. Yeah. So like that. So these are some of the advantages of it. Also, you can reuse the molds to produce other copies. You can keep on going and make multiple copies of the key. You can melt down and reuse the cast keys. That's not an issue. There is no deterioration in the properties of the metal. In fact, as this melts at 70 degrees C, you can dispose of it by dropping it into a cup of coffee. I mean, so I wouldn't drink the coffee, but you can dispose of the key if you wish. But yeah, you can remelt this down. Any little bits that I use, like from the chimney for the escaping the gas, you can reuse. So I mean, of course, it has some restrictions. If you have mobile elements in the key or you have magnetic elements in the keys, then this method isn't going to work. The metal's softer, but apart from that, it does a very nice job. Huge thanks to French Key at overturefin.com, a French locksmith. He's helped me a lot with assembling this key, this kit. Then also Scott at Storm Lockpicks, who helped me out a huge deal with bringing this casting box to a meet for me, and also supplying me with this little guy that I don't think they'll make again. So as far as the other thing that I mentioned that's quite useful to see is the portability of the kit, really, because I'm just using this toiletry bag, for want of a better word. I assembled the kit. I have a little bag for this that I made here. So this goes in a little bag. You have that. You have the burner, which I haven't locked, which I must lock. The metal, talc, the silicone putty, a vice grip that I find useful sometimes, a couple of files, a casting ladle, and a little vibrator thing, well handy. So other than that, you can fit this kit into your tool bag just as such. Yeah. Even in fact, if you organised it better, you could get it down to a much smaller form factor as well. So that's about it. I think I'm done. I'm not going to rabbit on anymore. There's nothing much more to say. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it's useful to you. Take care. Have a great day. Bye.